Hello boys and girls, my name is SidAlpha. We are coming here today to take a look at Total War Warhammer. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with my personal preference in video games, they are games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age, those that are massively story-driven, and also games like StarCraft, StarCraft 2, and the Total War series of video games. Those are among my absolute favorite style of games of all time. Throw in some Civilizations in there, and I'm a happy boy. So because of this, I tend to be a little bit more critical of these type of games than I usually am with others. Mostly because I want them to be so good, and I'm really hoping for a higher quality, especially with the Total War video games, because mainly still a little hurt from the Total War Rome release, where it was just everything was just broken at launch, completely and utterly broken. The AI was a joke, and the game was really a disappointment when it first came out. So Total War Warhammer is their iteration of that style of video game with the Warhammer license. Forgive me for the jump there, I had to stop for a train going by, and those things are loud as hell. So because of this, like I was saying, Total War series of video games I am exceptionally hypercritical of. Because I want them to be good, because they are amongst my favorite games of all time. So going into that, I kept a very harsh eye on the video game, and I don't think that was entirely necessary for me to do so in this particular instance, but you'll find out as we go along. First, let's take a quick look at the options menu for Total War Warhammer. Alright boys and girls, here we are at the options menu. First off, we have the graphics, quality, low, medium, high, ultra, or custom. Resolution, all your standard resolutions, all the way up to 4K. We go into the advanced here, and this is where we really get into the meat of things. We have MLAA, which is odd. That's actually, I believe, an AMD anti-aliasing method, which is interesting and is slower than the FXAA. Anti-aliasing by a significant portion. It's curious as to why they wanted to use that. Texture filtering, anisotropic, trilinear 2, 4, 8, or 16. Water detail, grass, terrain, building, unit size, porthole quality, 2 or 3D. Texture quality, low, medium, high, or ultra. Shadow detail, visual effects, tree detail, unit detail. Depth of field, screen space reflections. We also have resolution scale. Proximity fading, vignette, distortion effects, SSAO, VSync on or off, and unlimited video memory, which means if you want the game to just gobble up as much as it possibly can, you can go ahead and check that. Now we also have the sound options: speech, effects, music, and master. We have audio quality, high, medium, or low, sound effects, stereo, speakers, headphones, 5.1 surround or 7.1 surround. Show subtitles on or off. I'm actually going to turn that on. Voice chat settings. So basically, it's a pretty well-rounded options menu, and everything that you should expect to be here is, with one notable exception. They did not include a colorblind option, and yes, that is something that, as you guys well know now, is something that I check for in most video games. You don't see it a lot in indie titles, but you are seeing it become more and more prevalent in AAA titles such as this one, and most games should include colorblind options, and it really shows that you're paying attention to your consumers and you care about your consumers when you take the time to include an option like that, and it's a real shame that it's not here. Boys and girls, this is Total War Warhammer. For those of you that aren't familiar with the genre, Total War is a combination strategy, 4X, and RTS whose gameplay style has become somewhat legendary since the late 90s. Now, the game utilizes strategy and 4X components when in the kingdom view, where you work on building your kingdom, positioning and building armies for tactical advantage, build your infrastructure, and research new technologies. And then there's also the RTS component, where your armies that consist of thousands of individual units of varying types, where you vie for high ground, pit units against each other, perform flanking maneuvers, and do what you can to either hold on for the ride or absolutely crush your enemies. Now you can see why these types of games are such a big draw for me. Now, for the purposes of this review, I started off using the dwarves, which for those that are uninitiated will probably want to do, as they have the easiest beginning. Also, it's worth noting that you can't change the difficulty in your campaign once it's begun, so choose wisely, as the AI is not a pushover here. I was having trouble even on the normal difficulty setting, as I am exceptionally rusty at the game. So, for new players, I would actually recommend the easy setting, which is not something I normally do in very many games these days. Now, the gameplay consists of two main components. The main kingdom view, where you will spend probably less than half your time, and the RTS mode, which is when you are actually in combat. Now, in the kingdom view, you have a province that is split up into separate counties, each with a city built on it for you to upgrade and to defend. Upgrades are important, and planning out which cities will specialize in what will be needed here, as the game's building diversity and upgrade paths mean that you will need to do a certain amount of specialization in planning in order to make certain you have a robust enough income combined with the specialty buildings to be able to construct the powerful late game units that you'll need to remain competitive with the other regions. Now, the RTS function is where the main core of the game is, and if this were done badly, as it was in Total War Rome 2, then the entire game would be torn to shreds by myself and probably almost every other reviewer out there. Thankfully, they did their jobs well here, and in a true return to form for Creative Assembly. Now, the RTS combat feels tight and responsive, and the AI does a good job at engaging enemy units in a fashion concise with their abilities. Proper use of high ground, cover, and flanking systems all make for a very unique combat experience every time, and it works extremely well here. Now, the graphics of the game are, while not a huge step up from the previous titles, is a step up. It shows also once you zoom all the way in on your units as they're fighting, you really see some good detail on the individual unit models. Also, the world map shows, while not insane graphics, are very much improved. And I'm actually glad they didn't spend too much more time on amazing graphics, as the game can be a bit of a resource hog already. They did enough to make the game look good and play smoothly, and I really can't ask more than that. So, as expected, the game does run stably and well at 60 frames per second with no noticeable glitches or dips. Even when I fielded 2 full armies against an enemy's full army stack, the game just kept chugging along, showing that the devs have learned from past mistakes and have more than made up for Rome 2's shoddy release with this in Warhammer. As with any Total War game, the amount of replayability is off the charts, featuring the Empire, the Dwarves, the Greenskins, the Vampires, and the Chaos armies all as playable races at launch. Combined with both local and online multiplayer offerings, Total War Warhammer offers playable time in the hundreds of hours. Basically, this game will keep on giving until you decide you're done. Offering new and different experiences each time, there really is no limit to total playtime on this type of game. Now, the story is very Warhammer-esque. Basically, your races are fractured and divisive, fighting with themselves and each other. You must unite the kingdoms to battle the Chaos armies who have returned. For me to go more in depth than that would be to give out spoilers, and I really don't want to do that, because as with any of these games, the story really isn't super heavy or super interesting, but it is there, it is present, and you know, for those that are Warhammer fans, it's always fun to play around in the lore. Now, there is one thing worth mentioning, though, which is that the Chaos Army is only available for free for those that pre-ordered or purchased the game within the first week. After that, they're locking the race behind a paywall, which I really don't like. Taking already finished content and scooping it out of the fucking game is anti-consumer as shit, and Sega needs a huge slap on the wrist for that. So to wrap up, in a true return to form, Creative Assembly was firing on all cylinders with Total War Warhammer, earning a well-deserved 9 out of 10. Despite the game getting marred by the Chaos race being locked behind a paywall, it's still an awesome game. It's a ton of fun. The amount of replayability and the amount of time you'll be able to sink into this game is unparalleled with most other games, making it a true great buy for the value. And if you are a fan of RTSs or strategy games at all, or 4X games, then this game is a must own. So that's been Total War Warhammer, boys and girls. It is available on Steam right now for $60 or your regional equivalent. After the first week, expect to pay a little bit more if you want the Chaos, which really pisses me off, and I really want to bash on them for this, but it doesn't detract from the fact that the core game is exceptionally good. It is amazing, and it is a definite must-own, guys. So once again, I am SidAlpha. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, share, do all the things, and I will see you next time. Hi there, boys and girls. Thanks for checking my video out. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that like button and maybe even that subscribe button. Trust me, it works really good. Don't forget to share with your friends, and if you're interested in following me on Twitter and Facebook, the links for that are in the description down below. I also have a Patreon if you're interested in helping to support the growth of my channel, and the link for that is down below as well. And once again, thanks for watching and supporting my channel, guys. I really appreciate it.